Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're moving past the buzzwords, beyond the hype and getting straight into the data. We're looking at a piece of tech that really promises to change, maybe fundamentally change, how we interact with the physical world. We're unpacking detailed reviews of the Pro X AI-Powered Wearable Exoskeleton.
Yeah, this is a deep dive into physical augmentation. And like you said, not science fiction anymore. We're examining a device that sources are consistently calling a game changer. It aims to blend AI intelligence with, well, physical mechanics. Our goal here is simple. Extract the facts. How does this Pro X actually boost endurance, reduce fatigue, provide comfort, especially when things get tough?
And the sources set a really high bar right from the start. It's praised as a brilliant mix of innovation, comfort, and practical design. Okay, it looks futuristic, sure. But the key detail for me is that it's built for real-world use. So if it's meant for the real world, we need to ask, how does it handle, real physics, real human effort? All right, let's start with the physical side, the wearable part. When you hear exoskeleton, you might picture something, I don't know, bulky, cumbersome. What's the actual experience like for a user, putting it on, setting it up?
Well, the review suggests the physical design is actually pretty user-friendly, optimized for accessibility, you could say. They mention smart use of adjustable straps, modular components. It seems like it fits different body types well. And the source specifically says getting it on, getting a comfortable, secure fit is surprisingly easy. So they've definitely tried to move away from that heavy industrial feel, more integrated, lighter.
Okay, easier to put on. That's good. But the physical shell, that's just the frame, right?
Oh.
The real claim is the AI. That's the core. So if I'm moving naturally, walking, lifting, maybe twisting, how does the Pro X know exactly when to help and how much support to give without feeling like it's, fighting against me?
Right, that's the crucial part. And it's definitely beyond simple motors just reacting. The Pro X system is adaptive, it operates in real time, it draws input from a whole network of internal sensors, probably high-precision gyroscopes, maybe integrated strain gauges. These constantly analyze your gait, your joint angles, and the system isn't just reacting after you move, it's using predictive analytics.
Predictive analysis.
Yeah.
So it's trying to anticipate my next step, my next movement. Okay, but if it's working that hard, it's constantly sensing, compensating. The sources also claim the user barely notices it until you feel the support kick in. That sounds almost too seamless. If it's that subtle, how do we know it's actually delivering that performance boost?
Yeah.
And not just being very comfortable, very expensive brace?
That's a fair question. Skepticism is valid here. But the sources do clarify the mechanism, that subtle feeling. It's intentional. See, it's not about overpowering your muscles. It's about making you more efficient. When the sensors detect strain building up, say, in your knee, just as you start pushing up a stair, the AI delivers a very precise, very momentary bit of force feedback. It just shaves off the peak load on that joint or muscle, maybe 5 to 10%.
Okay, so it's targeted. Yeah. Minimal help right at the moment you need it most, right at the peak load. That's why I feel smooth then. It's just smoothing out the effort spikes.
Exactly. So when you're walking or lifting something heavy or doing any physically demanding task, the Pro X basically ensures each movement costs you less energy overall. The whole action feels smoother, less tiring, because the AI is constantly correcting tiny inefficiencies, absorbing a bit of that impact strain. So the core benefit is performance through strain reduction. But the sources are really clear. It doesn't replace your effort. You still do the work. The device just makes doing that work fundamentally easier. That's the key difference between real assistance and just restriction.
Okay, let's shift gears to the environment. The name Pro X suggests it's built for tough conditions. And one feature that really jumped out in the reviews was this integrated heating system, which, okay, sounds great for comfort, but it also implies this thing is really meant for serious cold weather use.
Yeah, that human factor really stands out, doesn't it? That, quote, like slipping into a warm hug on a cold morning. It suggests it's not just blasting heat, but providing consistent, gentle warmth. That's a really practical touch, especially if you're starting work early or maybe a hike before the sun's fully up.
But hang on, adding heating to a device that already needs constant power for AI and motors, that sounds like a massive engineering challenge, specifically battery life in the cold. Normal lithium-ion batteries, they just tank when it gets cold, right? So what did they do? What's the specialized solution here to power the AI, the motors, and the heat?
You've nailed the key problem. Cold temperatures, they just slow down the chemical reactions in standard batteries. Voltage drops, capacity shrinks, sometimes they just shut down suddenly. It's a known issue. So to get around this, the Pro X uses dual anti-cold batteries.
Dual anti-cold. What does that mean, technically? Are they just bigger batteries, or is there some kind of special thermal management going on?
It sounds like sophisticated management built specifically for the cold. Now, the sources don't give us the exact battery chemistry, but the design points to a serious thermal management system for the battery cells themselves. And crucially, having two batteries likely lets the system dedicate power. Maybe one focuses on the core functions, motors, sensors, while the other handles temperature regulation and that heating feature. This kind of setup is pretty much essential if you want to guarantee extended outdoor use, even in freezing conditions. Think about it. Turn on a standard heater in freezing weather, the power drain is huge. Battery capacity just plummets.
So the AI isn't just managing movement. It's also acting like a smart power grid manager for the whole suit.
Precisely. The AI's efficiency is absolutely central here in Section 2 as well. It's constantly adjusting support levels and the heating output. It bases this on your activity level, what the sensors are telling it, and the outside temperature. This stops those huge, uncontrolled power draws that would kill the battery halfway through the day. And the fact that the batteries are described as easy to swap and recharge, that just reinforces the idea this is built for real work, multi-hour, maybe even multi-day use, not just a quick jaunt outside. So yeah, that integrated heat, it's only really practical because the power management underneath is so advanced.
Okay, so we've got the tech, adaptive movement support, plus this robust cold weather power system with heating. Now let's talk utility. Who actually benefits from this? How does reducing strain really change someone's day-to-day, whether it's work or a hobby?
Yeah, the potential user base mentioned in the reviews is actually quite broad, which is interesting. You're looking at basically three main groups. First, the obvious one, outdoor enthusiasts, hikers, hunters, anyone needing sustained performance over difficult terrain.
All right, for that group, the benefit seems pretty clear. It's about cumulative fatigue, isn't it? If you're on a multi-day trek, shaving even a small percentage off the strain on your joints with every step, that adds up massively. You'd be way less worn out by day 3.
Exactly. It could be the difference between finishing strong versus just grinding it out, muscles screaming. But the second group is where the application gets maybe even more critical, practically speaking. That's workers, people who spend long hours on their feet in physically demanding jobs. Think construction, logistics, warehousing. For those users, it's not just comfort. It's potentially about sustained productivity and even safety. If a worker can lift or carry or just stand for an 8-hour shift with significantly less strain on their back, their knees, they'll likely maintain better posture, reduce the risk of those chronic aches, maybe even acute injuries. This shifts the Pro X from being just a cool gadget to potentially an industrial safety tool, an efficiency tool.
Okay, outdoor types, physical laborers.
Yeah.
And there was a third group mentioned. That one seemed particularly interesting from a personal sport angle.
That's right. The sources mention anyone recovering from minor injuries. This positions the Pro X as potentially a sophisticated rehab aid. Think about traditional braces that often just restrict movement, right?
Yeah.
Which can lead you to compensate, maybe overuse other muscles. But the AI support, because it adapts in real time and only helps where needed, it could help reinforce natural, efficient movement patterns during recovery. It would reduce the mechanical stress on the healing area without forcing you into some awkward, unnatural gait.
Huh. So the core benefit, making hard tasks easier, applies across the board. But the implication is totally different depending on the user. For the hiker, it's sustained performance. For the worker, extended safety and productivity. For someone recovering, maybe smarter, supported healing, it's versatile because that fundamental benefit, reducing joint and muscle strain, is pretty universal. Okay, let's bring this back down to earth for a minute. We've described a pretty amazing piece of kit. High-tech AI, rugged build, efficient power, heating. Technology like this is never cheap, and it's probably not invisible either. So what are the catches? What trade-offs did the reviews highlight? We need to give you the full picture here.
Yeah, the reality check. The trade-offs fall into three main sort of predictable categories. First, and probably foremost for many people, is the cost, the financial barrier. The Pro X is clearly positioned as a premium device. All that innovation, it results in a higher price tag. For a lot of potential users, that's going to be the biggest hurdle right there.
Okay, high price, not unexpected. What about actually wearing it day to day? If you're wearing this for hours on a job site, or maybe even just out and about, does it blend in?
Not Not really, according to the reviews. While the design is apparently sleek for what it is and comfortable, it is quite noticeable. The source states it's not the most discreet option.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely wearing a visible piece of technology. If your goal is something that disappears under normal clothes or fits under a specific uniform without being obvious, this visibility is a drawback. It seems built for function first, not necessarily for blending in.
Right, function over stealth. Makes sense for a pro device, maybe. Okay, price, visibility. Finally, we talked about how smart the AI is. That level of intelligence usually means there's a bit of a learning curve for the user, doesn't it? What do the reviews say about actually getting used to it?
They confirmed that, yes, it takes some time. There's an investment needed from the user. The quote was, "It also takes a little time to get used to all the AI features and settings."
Hmm.
So it's not like putting on a simple knee brace where it's just plug and play or strap and go. You probably need to learn to trust the system, maybe calibrate it to your specific way of moving, understand how the different modes affect things.
Yeah, I can picture that. Someone gets this super smart device, but maybe they try to fight it or override the adaptive support too much, and they end up feeling awkward or even more restricted just because they haven't learned to let the AI do its thing yet.
That seems like a very likely scenario, especially early on. The device needs to learn your gait, your rhythm, and you need to learn to anticipate its subtle assistance. Until you kind of synchronize with it, you might not get those full efficiency gains they promise. So it definitely requires some patience and maybe a willingness to rely on the technology's embedded intelligence.
Okay, so putting it all together, high price, it's visible, takes time to learn. Does the performance, the AI support, the heating, the durability,
Yeah.
does it ultimately justify those drawbacks? What's the final verdict from the sources?
The overall synthesis seems pretty clear. Yes, the trade-offs are significant, they're real, but they don't seem to negate the overall positive assessment. For users who really prioritize that top-tier performance, that sustained comfort, and the advanced tech, whether it's for sport, demanding work, or maybe sophisticated recovery support, the functionality, the engineering especially, that adaptive AI and the cold weather capability seem to make those limitations acceptable trade-offs. It's framed as an investment in your physical capacity. #tag outro.
So wrapping this up, our deep dive shows the Pro X isn't just a simple brace or support. It really seems to be an intuitive wearable tool, one that uses AI to fundamentally change the equation of physical effort, while also adding genuinely practical, robust features like that integrated heating. It definitely sounds like a device built for the long haul, durable, sophisticated, and offering subtle but significant assistance.
Yeah, the core insight here, I think, is that the Pro X review kind of sets the current benchmark for personalized physical assistance. And if a piece of wearable AI can adapt in real time to smooth out that effort curve, to make difficult, tiring physical tasks genuinely easier, well, you have to start thinking about the broader implications, don't you? If human movement itself, the very act of moving and working physically, becomes fundamentally less draining, less energy intensive, what happens then? What societal limits, what physical boundaries that we've always taken for granted because of exhaustion or injury risk, what if those suddenly become, well, less relevant, obsolete even?
That's a big thought. If the basic struggle against physical fatigue is reduced, even partially, what new levels of physical achievement, what ambitious projects, what daily activities become possible for potentially everyone, not just elite athletes or specialized workers? That's really the question this kind of technology forces you to consider. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.